Hey, all my Libra friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your January 2025 monthly horoscopes. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Libra, I'm referring to Libra rising as the first house and dictating the landscape of the chart. If you don't know your rising sign, you'll want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time and location of birth to determine that information. I also, when I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone. So please adjust for your location. Um, it's a pretty significant year because we're going to see some significant planetary shifts. We are going to see Uranus move into Gemini in 2025. We're going to see Jupiter move into Cancer in 2025. We're going to see Neptune move into Aries in 2025. And the nodes are going to shift into the Pisces Virgo axis. And it all ramps up with an opposition between Pluto and Mars uh, beginning in January. This opposition between Pluto and Mars is currently retrograding in Leo, and on January 1st, it's at 1 degree in an exact opposition to Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree. Aquarius is your fifth house, and Leo is your 11th house. This is rather significant because we experienced this opposition back in the fall of 2024, late October, November, when Pluto was still in Capricorn. And now Pluto has moved into Aquarius and they're having an opposition again, meaning Mars and Pluto. Pretty intense energies. Let's pull up the chart and look at it. And I say this because when Pluto was in Capricorn, I feel like it was focused more on the past, on history, on, what has been and breaking up what doesn't work there. Then we go into Aquarius, which is your fifth house of your personal self-expression, your, how you have fun, how you enjoy, where you find your entertainment, your pleasure, your little performer inside of you, for lack of a better term. Pluto's looking to birth that, looking to transcend wherever you have potentially felt exiled or felt maybe too far outside of the box, and allow that genius to really flourish. Mars, as it retrogrades, is now, I think, the underdog. It's going back into its fall in Cancer, and Cancer is your 10th house. That 10th house being Cancer can very much have to do with how you perceive yourself and how that relates to the home, family, the maternal experience, the nurturing experience. And Mars, to me, is really kind of it's in fall when it's in Cancer. So Mars is revisiting resentments and angers, and in many ways things that have made Mars feel more harsh and misunderstood. Frankly, Mars is, when a planet's in fall, it doesn't feel respected in the sign. So Mars is get up and go, and willingness to push past certain things is not appreciated in the Cancer energy. So here you're reconciling something within your 10th house of your public status, your career, your reputation, and how you feel about it. Mars representing your feelings right now, and Pluto is trying to unearth something that's been toxic or holding you back, and then allow it to transcend and be rebirthed. This is going to go on for a long time. I say that because Mars is going to transit all the way back to 17 degrees in your 10th house of Cancer, and that's going to happen in February. I believe it's the 23rd. It will move direct, and then it will meet up with Pluto again. And Pluto will be a little deeper into the Aquarian energy. So I always think forewarned is forearmed. We see also that Venus on the 3rd enters her exaltation of Pisces. And this is a beautiful energy. Pisces is your 6th house. That is a house that is traditionally a health house, has a lot to do with your physicality and how you mentally process stress and your daily activities. It represents your daily activities, like what you do when you get up in the morning and how your day rolls. we see that Venus, as she's entered this exaltation, is what I like to call a transit yod, where the south node is just exiting your first house, about to go into your 12th house. Yeah. And then it's also, this is at a 0 degree. And then we see Mars is now at 0 degrees of Leo in your 11th house. And the focal point is this sixth house. So I think that something is going to come up because your ruling planet Venus wants to feel creative, wants to feel compassionate, wants to feel dreamy, and to live this kind of fanciful, wonderful life and be of service in that way. And yet at the same time, something's been holding you back. And the South Node is calling forth an egoless expression of your own self-worth and to be brave beyond maybe your own confidence level. I kind of feel like when I look at that sixth house, it's about also about seeing yourself and processing your body as a divine vessel for your soul. And to take, because the apex here being Venus, and at 12 o'clock, the moon is here. I'm not necessarily addressing it because it's going to move by very quickly, but the actual yod, the finger of God, will stay there pointed for a day or so at least, maybe 2 or 3 days. I didn't really map that one out, but I think it's going to be super important because what we're going to see is a stellium growing in your sixth house. And I think it's an opportunity to sort of integrate whatever has enslaved you to something, wherever you felt invisible, wherever you felt that you weren't being acknowledged, and start to transform that through your connection to the divine and the divinity within you. All right. Now we see on the 6th that Mars will have re-entered Cancer. And I really think this is going to feel, while the opposition to Pluto is still in play, the energy is going to feel significantly different because Mars is going from fire, even though he's going backwards, he's still got a little piss and vinegar in him. And then he moves back into Cancer, and it's just almost as if there is a feeling of depletion. And Pluto is asking, why are you feeling depleted? Because there's the potential that Libra has spent the holiday season making everybody feel so amazing and wonderful and doing everything, at the highest level for Libra. She loves to create comfort and make people feel at home and make people feel um, loved and valued, and puts the cozy blankets around you. And here's your 10th house lit up, that public. Have you been acknowledged? And if for some reason you're looking outside yourself for other people to do that acknowledgement, maybe this is a moment when Pluto is kind of commanding you take charge of that because Pluto's in your house of entertainment, of personal pleasure, even of romance. So there's a possibility there. I felt like I channeled a pirate for a minute. We also see, which I find very fascinating. I have a lot of interesting ways of looking at the charts. We see a quincunx from Mars to Mercury, and Mercury is on on the galactic center exact at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is your third house of how you think, how you speak, how you learn, the kind of media that you engage yourself with. It's your childhood experience. The 27th degree of Sagittarius is not only the galactic center, it's a point within the Shapley cluster where humans can use their physical apparatus to download through meditation, through conversation with spirit, through visualization practices, through even through exercise. When you get into that zone beyond your physical, to download solutions, information, inspirations. And Mars can't see that right now. Okay. Mars is in a blind spot right here, maybe a little bit engaged in what is not been happening for him. I just feel so much that there's this square and a half to Saturn makes me feel as if something you've been working very hard on some level to create something. And I just keep going back to the holidays and trying to create a lovely experience for those that you love, and even for yourself. And, you may just be feeling slightly spent, after the season and looking for others to lift you up. And I'm not sure they are. That could be a little bit of a challenge. And Mercury offers you an opportunity to download solutions about that very experience, meaning how can I feel more connected, seen, appreciated, valued, etc. And that kind of plays back to that yod we were talking about earlier, the finger of God. Now let's go to the 8th. Mercury will move into Capricorn. And the thoughts become very sober here for me. They become very aware of my physicality. They aware of my obligations, aware of my duties. The Capricorn energy is your 4th house of home. So here we just had you, thinking about what you'd created potentially for your family, the people that you love. And now there's even more potential mental stresses. We see that the nodes being on, in your 1st house, 0° south node, and then the 7th house north node is conjunct Neptune, and they're pointing straight at Mercury. And Mercury has a blind spot down to Mars. So I feel like my actions aren't seen. My thoughts might not be, appreciated or seen, or I'm having to, somehow stifle them because I have to take care of other things and other people. Now, I see things in the most interesting way because here is Mars at 29 degrees. You reduce that down to an 11, master number of thought. Neptune's at 27 degrees, which is the Gemini degree, which represents my thought. The south node is at 0 degrees. And Mercury's at 0 degrees, and the north node's at 0 degrees, making a very powerful T-square, challenging you to allow whatever thoughts aren't serving you, whatever thoughts about yourself that are not standing in a priority, you let them sort of drift off. That north node is commanding you find the spiritual part of your own identity and your own self, and pursuing that as a natural balance to partnership. I think that's super important. Okay. Now on the 12th, the nodes are going to go into the Pisces Virgo axis. I'm going to do a separate video on that. It's a pretty intense axis for the nodes, as the nodes are, the nodes are a karmic place. They are in relationship with the moon. They represent, the nodes of the moon. So this south node is in the house of enslavement, the house of mental enslavement, of duty, of service to others. And the north node is in the sign that is traditionally considered almost an invisible sign. It's the last sign before the physical is transcended out and the soul leaves the body. So now we're looking at, this is on your 6th and 12th house axis. So on some level, you're getting an opportunity as the south node transits your 12th house to be egoless to the information that comes through for you in ways that you have potentially been undermining yourself through criticism or expecting perfectionism, or maybe even being of such dutiful service to the depletion of the self. And the north node in your 6th house is stretching for you to be more creative for yourself, and finding your service through spiritual creativity and play. That's what I want to say, because I think it's very powerful that Pluto's moving through your 5th house. On the 13th, we'll have a full moon in Cancer. Again, I'll do a separate video on that where we go into more detail. So I'm going to go to the 19th, where we see Saturn and Venus in an exact conjunction at 16 degrees of Pisces. I really think that this combination is where Venus and Saturn, talk about how to practically apply Venus's energy into the everyday world. Venus is, again, exalted in Pisces. She is not only a welcome guest, people are excited to see her come into the house. Everything is cleaned up, and all the best foods and wines and charcuterie boards are brought in. Saturn here is really offering all that creativity, whether it be the creativity through food, through beauty, through art, through design. I mean, Venus just, even money, being creative with money, but Saturn wants structure. Saturn wants endurance, sustainability, to continue beyond your own personal comfort. And that's where the South Node is going to trigger you on. You could get tired and you could be like, why? I can just defer on some level to the cooperative components in my life. But here individuality is being inspired into the balance of your relationships. I really truly believe that. And we are going to have a huge stellium, coming up in this area. So as the year goes on, so it's going to be a big focus. Okay. Now we also see that the sun is conjunct Pluto. The next day they'll be exact at 1 degree. And, I find this to be such an interesting conjunction for me because the sun is traditionally considered the most powerful planet, and whatever planet it comes in contact with, it combusts it. It overshadows it. It overwhelms it. But I don't necessarily think that with Pluto because Pluto is so psychological. I mean, the kind of criminal that Pluto produces is so devious and so manipulative and so aware of how to twist its victim, for lack of a better term. This is at the darkest point of Pluto, right? Um, so I think Pluto is the more powerful one here because I think the sun is representing that ego expression out into the world where I'm concerned about what other people think versus what I think about myself. And so I think that this conjunction brings up some kind of conflict, which is then further represented by the opposition to Mars. Now, Mars is not, it's kind of a loose opposition, but because of the power of the planets and where they sit, especially Mars being in your 10th house of the public eye, I just feel like this is a very powerful couple of days as the sun transits over Pluto, and you're getting to really determine what is important and what isn't, and to reflect over and over again about how the self serves the collective. This, we still see a very tight conversation here between Saturn and Venus. And some people might think that erodes or dries up your money, but I don't see it that way. And since I know that my thoughts become things, as we stretch for the higher vibrations of the planets, we create those in our experience. Okay, now let's go to the 24th. And here we're starting to see that Mars and Venus are coming into, I guess I could have gone to the 25th. Let me go to the 25th. There we see Mars and Venus are in a trine. This is a favorable aspect. We also see Neptune and Saturn being put into that trine in a sort of a looser degree. So here we have an opportunity through Mars's brave reflection. Am I willing to heal thyself? And to understand that true healing is not the release of something, but the extraction of wisdom. And through that wisdom, I expand and I become more aware of the divinity within. And my history starts to serve me instead of making me feel tethered to an old story. I love the way Mars, even though Mars is retrograde, is making this nice sextile to a very powerful Uranus, who is literally at 23 degrees for months. First, it started in December 19th when, I'm sorry, I don't know if it was exactly December 19th at the day that Uranus went retrograde, but as it started to retrograde, it slowed at 23 degrees. So it started December 19th is when Uranus hit the 23rd degree, and it will continue until March 12th, 2025. So it's literally standing in the sky, demanding us all to move into the future, to incorporate and to build upon our histories and our talents. Taurus for you is your 8th house of literally transcending trauma, turning it into wisdom, rising like the phoenix from the ashes. So I think that this is a powerful time for all of us. And even though Mars is retrograde, Mars's surrender to the landscape with which he is living now is the key to the situation or key to the success of the story. Okay, on the 27th, Mercury will, well, Mercury's already starting a conversation, but we'll see, I believe, an exact 1 degree here. But, oh, not quite yet. Let me go to the 28th. All right, so there now we see Mercury and Pluto having the same similar conversation that the Sun and Pluto were having. Again, Mercury has no chance in this argument because Mercury's worried about superficial things and Pluto's going to dig deep. So I think that this is supported by Neptune, by the nodes. We see the sextile to the north node and the trine to the south node. And at the same time, Mars is still in trine to that group of planets, Venus, Neptune, and even Saturn. So there is a real opportunity to, again, don't try to release anything. I think that's a futile, we're imprinted. We've got thoughts we don't even know we have. That's how deeply imprinted they are. But as we seek wisdom through situations and extract intuitive tools through our traumas, we are so much more powerful to direct our lives and move it forward the way we want. Okay, on the 30th, we see Uranus go direct. Now, Uranus is going to move forward in Taurus, just tip its toe into Gemini a little later in the year, and then retrograde back into that house for the last time until another 84 years. So the next few months as Uranus, that rules naturally the 11th house in the Aquarian energy, where we see is your 5th house. The 23rd degree is also the Aquarian degree. So this is really an opportunity to take your story, take your history, take your talents, take your skills, take your perception, and transform them into things where you can actually potentially make resources from other people, create, some kind of art, create something for yourself, a new version of you. There'll be so many people who can just hop on the internet and with a little bit of effort, just their own perceptions, their own perspective, and sharing that could start to garnish resources to help, live a more abundant life. Now, on the final day of the month, where's my cursor? We see Venus and Neptune in an exact conjunction. And the North Node is just, minutes away. This is where we start to feel this. I mean, Mercury's on its way, the sun is on its way. The moon will make its way all the way back around, and we're going to start to feel a really strong energy in the Pisces house. And for you, with that being your 6th house, this is really about a time to be very mindful of your health, very mindful of either you could create amazing art or you could very much want to escape the stress of your life that's happening over here with Pluto's half square to the nodes or to the North Node. So the end of the month, I think, feels a little bit stressful for Libra. I don't think the trine to Jupiter retrograde up in your 5th house is strong enough yet to offset what's happening in the 6th house. So I want to offer this daily practices connecting with your inner child, your soul, your angels, God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, whatever it is that you want to call it, from wherever you are in the world will really help you maneuver these times a little more with feeling a little bit more like your hands are on the wheel rather than feeling a little floaty, because there's a lot of stuff going on around us that could make us feel a little out of control, as if somebody else has got a hand on what we're doing. So that's it for January 2025. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, psychic, and tarot card reader. Please check out the very end of this video. At the end screen, there's going to be your Libra yearly horoscope, where I went month by month and hit some of the highlights for you, and their chapters, so you can check that out. I always think forewarned is forearmed. And then there's the Love and Money Tarot for January, and those will come out monthly, and they're really based on sun sign. So if it's not, you can always go check your sun sign out too. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking, for subscribing, for sharing. Be sure to hit the notification bell. A lot of content's going to be coming up. And check out my Instagram account. We're going to be building that up. We just started that. All right, everybody. I'll see you soon. Happy New Year.